Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Freeze hanging out in the Deceptilab. And today, kind of making up from not streaming Wednesdays. So thanks for being patient. I know a lot of you guys saw my post. Just put my oldest son into college this weekend. So we spent the last couple of days moving him into the dormitories and stuff like that. So real proud of him. A lot of you guys might have talked to him already if you on my Discord, but he's my Discord server admin, Kazi. So um, really happy day. I mean, he's adjusting. He wanted to come home the first day, but now he's out there getting out and around town, and he right down the street here in Dover. So yeah, so all good. Yo, Grim Wilder, Grim is like I'm bald. Yeah, so I'm not wearing my hat. I'm not wearing my hat today. I said I did. I was like, no, because a lot of times right after I cut my hair will start sweating, and so like I don't want to sweat into my Decepticon hat, so I'm just gonna go with the sexy bald head stuff like that today. So but yeah, I mean the hat's sitting right here though, for just in case anybody was wondering. But anyway, so today, a couple things I'm gonna talk about. Um, I want to talk about a little bit about what to expect or what I expect for the 5-star batch. I don't do usually traditional predictions per se, but I saw Waza's the other day. I watched his stream, and I think he's on to something with a lot of that stuff. So I kind of want to analyze that a little bit and give my own thoughts for the upcoming 5-star batch whenever that comes. Excuse me. I also got a new idea for war to make it more desirable. Um, a part of that is honestly is something that's kind of already been happening in the background, and I kind of just want to see them incorporate that into the game a little bit on a bigger scale. So I talk about what that concept is. I didn't originally come up with the idea, but I was like, man, why don't we just do this in game? So that'll be one thing to look at. And I don't have the new combat in playtest yet. Honestly, playtest isn't even working for most of us. And but I do want to talk about the next combat and what the concept is behind it, and see what you guys think about the concept for the next combat bot. So we'll take a look at all that shortly. I'm gonna do a real short look at the newsletter because obviously the event's already started, but there are some things in there that I do want to address. So we'll take a look at that. Um, week one in New Saga, we get the event called Damn It's Limitation. And yeah, so it's week one, nice easy 10K event. Your typical stuff. And I hadn't even noticed that until I saw Waza talking about it the other day. But 6 premium combat chips is that's a really odd number. Well, not in the technical sense odd, but it's a strange number to have up there. I mean, let's bump it up to 10, but um, so you got your 4-star shards, 3-star shards, premiums, 4 of the 500K troop XP. I thought they usually did 5 of those, but it's a lot of spark, or 350K of spark, and then 2 million of alloy and energon. So not too bad. I mean, it's relaxing. Endurance. Um, I put up about 50K on endurance last week. I probably should have just went for the bot, but I didn't. I committed to like 25K. So I was just getting some of my bots together for my new war team. I think I showed you guys some of that last week, but I'll probably use them a couple of times a day as I go through the stream. Typical battle zones. So Cyber Pass, they got a new schedule for that. And then let's take a look at this Saga schedule, because next week is going to be the individual endurance event for the 5-star legacy. I'm looking forward to that one, and I'm going to actually talk about that quite a bit. I mean, I've been talking about it off and on for like 3 weeks, but now there's another reason that I feel like we need to all participate in that event, and I'll explain that reason in a little bit. Uh, Followed by Prime Core Shards and then the combat event. So we're getting close to that combat event. So I want to just start that conversation as soon as I am able to test that combat bot. Then I'll start making content around that as well. But I think it's good to at least get the information out there. Let's see. So for Transformers, it's Transformers 40th anniversary. So hopefully that'll wind up being a good event with some nice stuff. You know, since it's the 40th anniversary of Transformers itself, and they're gonna do combiner, medic crystals, and then go back into the endurance spot, which I have no information about as it stands currently. Be sure to check out all of your content creators. It is content creator appreciation month. Um, so yeah, I appreciate that, man. Space Ape already gave a little bit of a shout out to all of the guys up there, just because, and a lot of people were asking me about this. That we were handing out 5-star shards. I actually did that last week. I don't know if you guys missed it, but in the newsletter 2 weeks ago, it was saying that we were gonna get some 5-star shards, and I was like, hey, that's my first time hearing about this. And then Callum kind of got the ball rolling and set us all up. So hopefully everybody that I awarded those to got theirs already. Um, but yeah, shout out to all the content creators, man. Like um, Soldier definitely helped me get my start in here. You know, just making a place where I could actually advertise. And I know he already had a big following, and he's one of my members and one of my friends that helped me get a good start, as well as Sunstreak Awaza helped me with my start as well. So to see those guys get the kind of love that they get in the newsletter and the love that they get from the community is awesome. Because if without them, it probably wouldn't be, you know, any freeze live streams, anything like that. So really appreciative of those guys, and of course, shout out to Engineer Horst as well, who has decided to move on to different projects in his content. Um, and obviously left Transformers Earth Wars as an official creator, but his role has been really, really great as well. And make sure you check out all your unofficial content creators. A bunch of them are already sitting out here in the stream, and a lot of the guys getting into different types of content. So United, not just always Transformers Earth Wars, but yeah, man. All right, so they said soccer schedule after soccer schedule, community news. Um, yeah, and I definitely wanted to go through the news letter just so I can talk about this, just because I actually got to talk to him several times. But rest in peace to Sean Capone, man, and my condolences to his family. Um, he was killed not last weekend, the weekend before, I believe it was. And I always got to. It was always fun talking to him. So I talked to him probably more on Facebook than anywhere else. But did get to talk to him on the Discord server a couple of times. Like he actually joined my Discord server as well. And man, it's just a really unfortunate incident. So just my thoughts and prayers to his family. Uh, Definitely one of those players is real popular and he's going to be missed in the community. So definitely wanted to address that. All right, community corner, what we got here? Yeah, you got some nice little collection there. Yeah, it's always some good toys and artwork in the community corner for sure. My buddy from Playtest, saying 69, was in there talking about Soundwave. A lot of people just talking about their favorite bots and every one of the newsletters now. So that was cool. And then Sam says that he likes No. So that's the staff pick. So for those who weren't aware, Sam is one of the new developers, and so far so good. I'm actually going to talk about his project here in a little bit because I believe he's the one that's running the. I believe he's the one that's actually running the combat, and that's all we got for the news. All right, so let's take a look and see who we got in the chat. I see my good friend and moderator and content creator, Big Blade 297 is in there. So thanks for joining the stream. My other good friend from Playtest, Cicada, is in here, and I guess everybody was jockeying to see who was gonna go in there first. But thanks, Cicada, for joining. Uh, Grim Grim Studios got two accounts in here right now. Everybody's trying to go see if they can go get some free stuff. But yeah, definitely thanks for joining. Just Elite, another fellow content creator friend. Um, thanks for joining, as well as another content creator. One of my moderators, Dark Terror, says he wasn't going to be able to stay this go around, but I know he watches almost everything I put out. So I'm glad you could at least stop by and say hello to everyone. The homie E Rods is in there again, wishing everybody a happy Saturday stream, as well as Sky Voltage. Thanks for joining, Sky Voltage. Let's see, we got David Lee, and I ain't talked to you in a minute, bro. But thanks for joining. Psycho 81 is with us again. Thanks for joining. Big Joe is with us again. Said at home with the COVID, man, that sucks. But wish you a really speedy recovery, and thanks for joining the stream. Uh, Another one of my good friends and members, Blade 19, is in here. Thanks for joining, Blade. Let's see. Every day I am alive is with us again. Thanks for joining. Sandy523. I say, man, I said I was had a little bit of banter in the chat talking to you because I was like, man, the last couple of times you guys went to war with us, man, y'all really got us. So, but yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad also that you can make a stream. I might have to start doing some more weekend streaming anyway, just because it seems like for some people who don't get to catch this stuff live during the week, because a lot of people live in different countries and stuff like that, and for me, I'm doing my stuff at like 6 o'clock at night, so it might be like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock where they're at. So I might switch it up every now and again and do an occasional weekend stream. But let me know in the chat what you think about that. If I go have a couple of occasional weekend stream, like maybe something nothing crazy, maybe like one time during the month. Uh, Omega joined. This is Dave says, "Hey Freezius, hey Omega, what's going on? Thanks for joining." We got Jimmy Watson with us again. Jimmy came in. Everybody always gets that reaction. He says he's waiting on the freestyle because I try to put some decent music on there when we go to the stream. But thanks for joining. Grim Studios is still stuck on the fact that I'm bald. Yeah, nah, I said I ain't wearing the hat today, man. My head been sweating ever since I cut it. LJ Gav, one of my good friends and one of my members, says for war we need to make the rewards actually good, and I'll be there. So we're gonna get to that because I did ask the question earlier today on both my Discord and on my community tab as to what do we need to do with war to make wars more desirable, man. So if you got ideas, put those in the chat. We'll talk about it. And let's see, we got Jared Price. And definitely, yeah. And just to lead, a couple of guys are saying, rest in peace to Sean Capone. Yeah, really was a good dude, man. All right, Hamburger is with us again. Thanks for joining. Jettison C4. Jettison C4 is with us again. One of my good friends and content creator buddies. Thanks for joining. And then, yeah, I think I got everybody. If I did not, just don't be afraid to go in the chat, tag me, and everything like that to get my attention. But yeah. Oh, I just closed the chat for whatever reason. Let me open that back up. But all right. So I guess I'm gonna start. I'll start out with a prediction. I'll start out with the 5-star picks. What I should do. Yeah, I'll do that. I want to actually go to my live account for a minute because I want to look and see what it is that we got that's actually left. Actually, no, I'm not going. Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna pull up my live account if I can find my cursor. But let me know in the chat while I'm pulling that up. What do you think is the dog? I just opened up my Discord and Grim Wild man, Grim still in there talking about I'm bald. He took a screenshot of the live stream and posted it to my Discord, and it's hilarious. I love joking around with you guys, man. That's lit. I'm sitting there moving screens around to go mirror my phone, and then I see that. Oh man, y'all boys a mess, man. But yeah, man, like who do you want to see? Who do you want to see go into the next 5-star batch? I got my ideas. And I think it's starting to get a little bit more clear cut, to be honest with you, just because they are less bots available than it was. But yeah, we'll take a look. We'll see. All right, so that's not where I want to be. I want to actually go to. I want to actually go to my. There we go. To my live account. Ooh, a war started. Cool. I'll jump back on camera. But yeah, I want to go look at what all is left now. It's going to look a little jumbled up because I still got a lot of 5 stars I need to get, and I actually need to start chasing all these bots for the for Predaking on my end. But yeah, well, I'll get to it. But what I was looking at as I was looking at what's left, and so the ones that are not in batches right now, um, and I think you really got to break these down 3 ways at this point. I think when you're starting to look at the next 5-star batch, you got to start looking at um, 4 stars that haven't been made into 5 stars yet. But I think you also got to go look at the endurance spots. And now I think you got to actually start looking at legacy when you're trying to make predictions for these things because the legacy projects that they're making in the 5 stars, eventually they got to start putting those into the batches as well. And they said they're just gonna work them in normally. And I don't know what that's gonna look like yet. But what I suspect, and Waza said this the other day too, and I agree with him, and I told him that. But what I think they're gonna wind up having to do is make like 2 endurance bots. I think they're gonna have to do 2 endurance bots, one legacy batch bot, and then there'll be the player's pick, and then the apes will have to make one pick based off of that pick. And I can support that with, you know, pretty sound logic, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But when you start looking at, oops, when you start looking at it, you know, some of the so from newest to oldest with endurance bots, you got D16 and Orion Pax, Antagony and Tasmania Kid, Bomb Burst and Metal Hawk, Deluge and Beachcomber, and then Wild Rider and Blue Streak. So I think that that's definitely going to put Wild Rider and Blue Streak into the mix as the endurance bots. Um, so yeah, I could see that being the case. Now, along with that, I think the other bot could wind up being, and even that was an individual endurance event, it's still an endurance bot. So I think it could be Predacon Inferno, which that would be great if that's the case because I already have him. I got him in here somewhere. Let's see what I got. Yeah, I actually wound up doing that endurance event because I was already leveling bots, and that's one of the habits I'm starting to get into. If I know that I'm going to be actually leveling bots, then then that just happened to be one of those times when I was working on war team pieces. So I think that's good. Him and Leo Prime can probably go into the batch. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting because I think at some point they have to start doing the legacy batch bots. And so the oldest one of those would be Drillhorn. And oh, actually, I got to go all the way to the bottom for that. But Drillhorn would have been that first legacy batch 5 star if they go that direction, and I think that they should. They got to do that now. I think this would be the best time to go and do that. But so then it's gonna be the community vote, and I was actually talking to Jacada a little bit yesterday about community vote, and it's a couple of things that make me expect one bot in particular. Um, Actually, let me know in the chat who you plan on voting for when the community vote comes out. Because to be honest with you, there's one bot in particular that I know that I'm voting for this go around, and I think he's already won it before it even starts. To be honest with you, but let me know in the chat what you think that community vote is gonna be, and depending on the results of that community vote, I think is gonna determine who that fifth bot is gonna be in the batch, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me look at what's going on in the chat. Okay, so in regards to when I was asking about war stuff, let's see. All right, so Hamburger says that I feel that war rewards should be at least doubled. If you remember when they were during the Christmas season, so I'm not averse to it. I mean, because the stuff they're handing out is not, it's not anything crazy. I mean, you get some extra energon, and you get some extra energon, you get some extra alloy. I I'm willing to say go crazy with that. You're doing a bunch of battles or whatever. Go crazy with that. I think they'll always be modest with the Z Energon. I will say that I think they'll be modest with the Z Energon always. Uh, I don't feel like they need to, but they're always going to be modest with that. I do think that you know, and they're probably going to be modest with the Spark too, just because I mean 60K is a decent amount for one war when you're in Prime League. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they went up on any of those items, though, to be clear. Um, but yeah, if they, I think that's the biggest thing. And I was having a conversation in Discord the other day, and we were talking about it, and they was like, I don't even like war. The player I was talking to was like, I don't even really mess with war like that because the rewards are small. And so I've been saying for years that the game kind of started turning into like Transformers event, um, Earth events instead of Earth wars because everything's about the events, and then it's because you can get the stuff so fast. So they got to find ways to incentivize wars. I feel like, and honestly, um, just doing HQ upgrades can't be the fix for wars because that is scratching the itch a little bit for top players like myself and probably like Shanny and all the other guys in there who want to play the game very very competitively. But then the problem becomes, well, we've just been doing the same stuff that we've been doing for 8 years. A lot of times, I mean, they have been minor reworks to prizes and stuff over the years. But to your point, to Hamburger's point, one of the things that we used to do, they used to have like different periods of time when they offer higher rewards and stuff like that for winning, and people really love that. And I can't recall seeing them do that in about what, like uh, it used to be like a every other month kind of thing. Now I hadn't seen it consistently in years. So to your point, and I kind of went on a tangent. I'm glad you said that though, because it's true. They do have to go do stuff like that. All right, Diesel says no cooldown would be nice. Sunstreaker Waza has been advocating that for that exact concept for years, and he's 100% right about that. We should be able to just do everything without cooldown. So, I mean, and the thing is, you're not gaining anything from. I'm curious how much money they actually make on players coining through wars because the problem that comes in is or 13. Like I'll be honest with you, like and Shanny will tell you this because we've been playing them in we just played them in war and that was our last hard war. Most of us are gonna use God Neptune and Ruination. Um, regardless of anything, I've heard Giannis say a couple of times, well, we got a bunch of different combiners you should be able to use. Look, man, the newest combiner in the game usually is the one that's going to be effective in war and several different metas now. And it costs you 25 war to go in and run them again. You've only got them for 15 minutes. And so what that forces people into the mindset of it is like, hey man, well if I want to conserve some ore, because we're now also using ore in events a lot. So now you're coining through this stuff, and they do get revenue that way. Um, so how much that's gonna hurt the economy, I don't know. I don't work for Space Ape, but from a player perspective, yes, the cooldown thing would work. Would that necessarily be economic for Space Ape? I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the data. I have suggested to them in the past that they should take a good look at it, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know if they will, or if they did, or if they ever will. So I'm still laughing at that Discord, Grim. That was hilarious. All right, Spencer394 joined us. First off, I didn't talk to you yet, so thanks for joining. And he says, I have an idea for wars. I was thinking maybe they could do more with the Alliance HQ for wars and more rewards for them than you can attack the Alliance HQ. Maybe that would actually be dope. I think that would, and it's little things like that that can help spice things up a little bit. Um, Alliance HQ is, they introduced it. It was a lot of busy work, and then, you know, um, they said they're going to add to it eventually. We haven't gotten there yet, but they're talking about doing an overhaul of the tech tree, and I'm like, you're doing an overhaul of the tech tree, but you hadn't even considered adding to Alliance HQ, which is a newer feature. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sandy523 says add combat spark and war rewards. This game is stingy as I don't know what with combat spark. It's insane, especially now that you get the binary bond and you get. It's tough. Like that's one of the things that I have not completely caught up on is combats because it takes a while to get them to ability 10 and ability 11. So I definitely think they could put some combat spark in it, or even just vary the different types of spark. Like or maybe if we even had different types of war modes, they can give different types of items, or make it instead of just spark, make it like all spark type thing, where it varies, and you could pull different stuff for each war. Like I don't think it should we should not get combat spark in a lot of these different game modes. All right, Hamburger said there should be an incentive to stay in the current league instead of dropping. Let's see. And that's another good idea too. Hamburger says that the longer you stay in the league, the better rewards you get. That's actually kind of close to my idea. My idea is a little bit different from that. So yeah. All right. So look like Magic giving me. Yo, y'all are wild, bro. Magic just sent this to me while I'm on my live account on stream. I mean, you guys can read it. It says, I'll return your cap tomorrow, my bald friend. Man, I swear I can't do shit around y'all, man. I just sitting up there trying to not have my head sweating. Here y'all go. Y'all been sitting around there letting Wazza be bald for years, and then I go bald one time. No, but nah, man, I appreciate all the comedy. But yeah, man. So my idea is this. My phone gonna die. But I'm about to go back to the test server anyway. But so my idea is this. So for a lot of the top teams, they kind of have their own tracking system off on the side, and when they do their tracking, it's basically like a bragging rights thing. But I was like, why don't we? I would like to see something, and I don't know how much you guys watch association football or, as we call it in America, soccer. But I'd like to see kind of like a pool play type thing, where you have different different alliances that qualify for just different leagues, and and just have it to where they can have it to where they have a button where they can challenge each other. None of this stuff where you have to go out and try to get people to clear for you to match and stuff like that. Like, we should just be able to call out an alliance and say, hey, we want to play you guys, the commanders and the command teams can accept, or something like that. And then, like, maybe once per saga, just kind of adjust those leagues. So, for example, like in my tier or whatever, we just got finished having a war with G1 side, and we could just go in there, hit a button to say, hey, we want to request a war with you guys, and we could like kind of schedule it out. And then as everybody starts to play each other, then they could kind of just go through and get like points. Like I say, since you could do it once per season, once per saga, so you can get like a seasonal points or something like that. I think that will increase the bragging rights, and you can do that for each league. So find out, like, we all know who the top leagues are, or whatever, but then go to the tier underneath that, and then you can go get alliances like the DJD and like Prime Nemesis, and you know guys like that in that next tier, kind of like they did for the Unicron tournament, but just keep a running tally of who did what, and then that could actually lead you into the Unicron tournament, and like because you could have everybody basically get a rank from that. But then you also could give like big major prizes for winning your pool. You can give major prizes for winning an overall tournament and stuff like that. And it wouldn't take that much effort if they could actually get the game to work that way. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. I mean, and it's a lot of stuff that we could do at wars. With war, we haven't been changing the war effects very much. I think there's room for you to go in there and you can change like with just different elements and stuff. But I was like, get people out of their comfort zone, because right now what we do is we got most guys are going into war taking the same 8 bots. I mean, I take the same 8 bots all the time. Yo, Magic is wild. Magic is saying for Baldius Max's stream. Oh man. But yeah, like those things gotta happen. Those are what keep things fresh. Like when those war effects were constantly changing, um, the strategies have to change a little bit with it. And I think there's this fear that people are always gonna lose, but like with the war effects, keep those at the top, because those players usually have the they usually have the points or the bots to be able to make those adjustments. And then when especially for the top tiers, when they start complaining about that the war scores are getting too high and they're getting close to 12K, um, those will be kind of things that we you see what's what, and you start to see people adjust their strategies based on the war effects. But we gotta get committed to changing those once per saga, once per month. I always said once per month. That might be pushing it. Once per saga is okay, and maybe you can have a couple of offensive ones that will incentivize using different bots as well, and then, as always, have your defensive war effects. So that's gotta happen, and I think that yeah, and I think if they kind of change the format and like make like a, and you ain't gotta sit up there and have like say if you were looking at just like the Prime League players and stuff. I don't think you gotta have them play against each other every day, as far as the pool play type stuff. But you know, um, make it worth your while for participating in these competitive wars. Um, Over a certain period of time, 8 weeks is plenty of time for a lot of the teams in one tier to go match with each other and try to make their way to the top of the pool. So, all right, let's see what they're saying in the chat. Besides stuff about my bald head, all right, so we got a bunch of talk about who they want to be in the 5-star badge. So I'm gonna get back to that. That's a good one. Jacada says we should have combiner timers that are active during combat. When you're out of combat and scouting the bases, the timer, stop the timer while you're doing all that stuff, man. That in itself is a quick, common sense fix that helps out a lot of stuff because a lot of people, a lot of people will rage corn, and some people not rage corning. Like I know, because I know we got a rule in our alliance that, hey man, if you drop points, you know, wait through the cooldown, wait an hour, come back, you know. Um, it used to annoy me at first because like when I do lose, usually it's by a small margin. So I was like, man, now I'm just sitting here with me and my feelings that I got my ass beat, and I don't like that. But I mean, I didn't like that. I like it now, and I was just talking to one of my teammates about it because uh, it shows you who wants to be a good dedicated teammate that's actually working on their development, and making sure they figure out the correct tactics. Grim says, I feel like no matter what, um, yeah, it's not enough. He said, and we had that conversation the other day. Grim is said basically saying that it's all for bragging rights for the war thing. And my counter argument when we had that conversation is this: if you make the reward somewhat worthwhile, um, and like for me, I've been warring damn near every day for a few years now, with a few exceptions, and there's a consistency of reward flow that comes with that. Like I'm really hard pressed to run out of Z Energon or Spark or any of those things because I do war every day. And so, while I do feel like the reward should increase and get better, like Shani said, there's no reason why we can't have combat spark in some capacity as a war reward. Like let us have the stuff, and then what you would see is like, oh man, we're playing in these wars every day, and now I got all this combat spark, or I've got all of this Z energon. Like it would become worth your while at that point. Grim said, "Add Shanix to wars. We need more Shanix. I feel like period. Just because we use it so much, everybody's using it. Go buy ore now. So yeah." Jared Price says Z Energon becomes almost irrelevant once you reach a certain point in the game. Yeah, I mean, most people once they get to a certain point, all they're doing is taking the Z Energon and then going to go buy XP. So it's helpful, but after a while, it's like I see guys that go use all their XP that they get from Z Energon, and they just get like a brand new bot at like level 65 on the first day that it comes out. So that's the only real advantage to that. So yeah, I agree with you. All right, so I got a comment that says instead of releasing new combiners, they should focus on reworking the bad ones. That part. Magic is still on about my bald head. Bro, that's like y'all never seen my bald head before. That's like I don't always wear it like that. But now I said, yeah, I shave my hair now. Like when I started thinning in the middle, then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna shave it all off. It's actually not as shaving even as closely as I wanted because I wanted to razor shave it, but I got lazy. All right. Anyway, going back to this 5-star thing, and shout out to Jacada because he always keeps. He's a human encyclopedia for his Transformers Earth Wars, so he always hooks me up with all this, with all these charts and stuff. But going back to the 5-star conversation, right? And I'm gonna actually put this on to if I can find it. Nope, that is not right. I need to go find this Excel doc, so give me a second. All right, there we go. And I did not know where this thing went, so let me get rid of that. All right, give me a moment. I'm trying to find. I had a chart and I had it up. Oh, here it is. All right, so this is a combining chart that Jacada made, and I actually lost it, so I had to have him share it with me again. But this particular chart, it shows which combiner pieces we already have and which ones we need. So when Waz was going through his prediction was actually that, and you got to look at Computron and Lyokaiser real quick because Lightspeed's coming. Lightspeed is coming, and Iron Bison is coming, and very shortly. So we already know that that's in the Legacy program. They're getting a 5-star. If and it's a lot of ifs. If the apes go into these batches, these legacy project bots, and they do decide to release drill horn, and nose cone, at that point, then Computron's going to be complete. The problem with that is this, and keep in mind that on his chart, he doesn't add the legacy bots because they're not in the batch yet. Um, so if they add drill horn, that's going to complete Computron because Lightspeed is out. So I really strongly suggest that people. I like the bot anyway. I think that what they've done with Lightspeed and Kill Bison so far, I think is great, and I think that I can find room for him on my war team. So now you're getting a good bot and you're getting a combiner piece. The problem on the Decepticon side is Fellbat. Um, it, would this kind of force them to make Fellbat and Chromia? That I'm not sure of. And there's a lot of other little problems. So like when Jacada and I were talking yesterday, and we were both, I'm assuming, looking at the chart because he had just sent it to me. One of the things that I was looking at was the timing of when they do combiners. So when they were still making a lot of combiners, they were making a new combiner, and it's usually right around the end of the year, usually around November or something. They start talking about it in October, we start working on it in November, it comes out by the end of the year. So I think that's going to be the case with Predaking and Volcanicus. I still need to go collect the 3 bots for Predaking. I'm not looking forward to that. Um, so my thought process is there time, because we already know that Predaking and Volcanicus are going to be the ones for this year. Um, are we going to wait like a whole another year after we get another 5-star, or are they going to go in a completely different direction in this entirely? Um, I definitely can see Chromia and Fellbat going into a rework, and we have them sometime next year. I just don't know if it's going to be this go around. Then the other thing I started looking at was Sky Rain and Galvatronus. So the bot that I think is going to win the popular vote is Trailbreaker and Exhaust. If that happens, Sky Rain is complete on the Autobot side. The problem that we have is that you got to address 2 things on the Decepticon side. The first thing is we don't have Cyclonus, so I think it could go one or 2 ways. Does Trailbreaker force Cyclonus? And this is the one time, if I wish I was still on my Wednesday stream, because Candyman would get in here and he'd start talking in the chat. So Cyclonus could be an option, but there's a second problem, and the second problem is that only the people who completed the Mind Wipe event would have Mind Wipe. So I think that's too big of a disadvantage for Decepticon players for them to consider putting Skyrain in right away, even though Skyrain would have all of his pieces. And then, realistically speaking, if they do Drill Horn, if they do the 5-star Drill Horn, well, realistically, there's gonna be two types of players on the Autobot side. If they already did the nose cone event, then they're already gonna have them, and then they just all they will have to do is do this event. So potentially, you're running into two Autobot combiners that are gonna be done here soon, and I don't know how long it's gonna take. I Do they just wait all the next year and just try to do another one in November? Do they try to rush their way through it? I don't know. So yeah, I probably want to ask the question to the apes soon though to see what their plans are, because but one of the things that if they release drill horn, which realistically they should put them into this upcoming batch, drill horn and nose cone. That completes Computron and Lyokaiser. So definitely go for Lightspeed and Iron Bison just because they're good bots. But if not, it'll give you. I'm actually looking forward to a 5-star Computron and Lyokaiser because I won't have to do really any additional work to go get them. Well, I'll have to go get Drill Horn. I didn't do that event. I think I was busy that weekend, but yeah. Grim says, "Damn Autobot cheaters." Cyclonus. Big Blade says Cyclonus is probably down the line. I'm inclined to agree. So this is honestly, I think Waza might have got this one right, and I told him I thought that there was one that I might change, and that one that I might change would have probably been to put Cyclonus in, but it's just going to be too much work, and it's going to make it down the line for the Decepticon players. I think the most immediate change that you can make is to, there's going to be a delay because we still got to get Predaking and everything. I think the most direct route is to get Lyokaiser. Um, and then, unfortunately, that means Autobots will have to wait on Skyrain, even if Exhaust does win. Exhaust and Trailbreaker. And the thing is, Exhaust and Trailbreaker actually, the last time there was a 5-star vote, I believe, they were the runner up, and they were the one that got left out. And then what happened was when we were in playtest, they almost got rid of Grapple and Dirtbag, and they was like, "Look, we just couldn't find a way to balance this bot," and so they were actually going to put Exhaust in there then, and Exhaust has become so popular. And Jacada and I were talking about this yesterday, but Exhaust has become so popular. I mean, like almost every player in the Horde uses them, and like a lot of top players are using them because, I mean, because honestly, because he's great. Like since he got, ooh, that is not the screen I wanted to go to. That's my blue stack screen. I want to go to the app player. But yeah, I've been using him for a few weeks, and and I think he's great with that ability 11. And I usually like to go advocate for one bot or another. Uh, once those things actually start up for the once the voting starts, it's ain't nobody better. Ain't nobody better right now for this vote than nah, it's not anybody better for this vote in my opinion than Exhaust right now. And this is how I got them set up. I know everybody always be like on the what's the best setup thing. Look, my stuff is always based off of team needs. I just wanted to keep them alive, so I wanted to block some damage, and I just did general rejuve because I was already using my Cronus elsewhere. My Cronus is actually one of my preferred choices, or depending on how I set it up, Micronus or Quintus. But in this case, I just did a basic rejuve. It's been working just fine for me in top play. So yeah, I think that let me back this thing. It's doing that weird thing again that it was doing last stream, but yeah, I don't think it's anybody better I don't think there's anybody better suited for this than I don't think it's a better 4-star bot to put in there right now. He just does so much for the health, and that crashed. All right. So let me see what's going on in the chat while I wait for that to reboot. And so I'm looking at some of the comments. I know a lot of y'all were talking about who should go into the badge. So Sunstrike said 5-star Mirage. Uh, we got a couple of people in there saying 5-star Cuddy needs to happen. Now here's the problem: 5-star Cutthroat. Yeah, 5-star Cutthroat. Eventually, it's gonna have to happen because it's a combiner piece. I just don't see him doing it, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't see him doing it because they've never, I've never seen them add him to any of the votes. So we're gonna have to depend solely on Space Ape for that portion of things. But and this is what I was talking to, and I forgot who I was talking to in Discord the other day. But we were talking about uses for bots, and I actually replaced my maxed out cutthroat, which is tracks for you guys on the Autobot side. I actually replaced him with exhaust. And so this is why I always say that concepts are important, because they was like, well, they're two completely different functions. Like, how does that work if you don't have your cutthroat? I said, well, they're performing a similar role. They're performing a protective role, and that's why a lot of times when I talk about, if anybody ever asks me for my advice and try to build in a team or anything like that, I always try to get them to start with a clean slate, and I tell them, basically erase everything you've been taught, because a lot of times we just like, yo, use this bot, this setup, and a lot of times that works, but then when the game changes, the meta changes a little bit, then you end up kind of stuck sometimes. So when you think in concepts, these are the bots that I use for protection. So like for me, I use like cutthroat for protection. I've used so tracks, like I said, for you guys on the Autobot side. I say I've used run amok for protection, which is red alert for you guys on the Autobot side. I've used now exhaust, which is trailbreaker for you guys on the Autobot side. I mean, it's a whole bunch of different ways you can go about some of this stuff, and using the same purpose. And he's gonna heal your team while he's doing it. And so, oh, Jakedo that wants me to know. He says it shows the ones that are already. His chart shows the ones that are currently available in the batch. At the 5 stars out, but not in the batch, and it's listed as available. So I was speaking too fast when I was showing this chart. So Big Blade asks, "Who do I need?" I'm assuming you're talking about for Predator King. I need, I need Rampage. I need Dive Bomb, and who else am I missing? And right now I'm on my test account, but I gotta go look and see who it is that I have and who I don't have. And it's one more. It's one more than I need, and I can't think of who it is right now. Give me a second. So, and Headstrong. I don't have a Headstrong. I don't know if you guys peeped that when we were looking at my live account. I don't have Headstrong, so and I don't think I have any bots from that batch. So that's gonna be fun because I am almost certain that he's going to be the last one that I pull out of that batch. So we'll see how it goes. James Sluicer says the Dead End and Cup will be an interesting choice. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think most of us players at this point know that there wouldn't be any harm in Dead End and Cup. Now I know for a while that the apes were looking at Dead End and Cup as like kind of like OP. I think that's far from the case now. But what made me think about the Dead End and Cup thing is, and Waza actually pointed it out on his stream. The other day they were handing out Golden Lagoon cores in one of the bundles, and I was like, people still using that? Like, I mean, not that you can't do it, but I mean, like now most people are using their combiners during the events, uh, doing the larger events to get through the stuff quickly. And I don't see as much gold in Lagooning anymore as there was, because that was a tactic that primarily people love to use with Cup and Dead End. So does that mean that they are a little bit out of touch with what players are actually using for different situations? I mean, they got all the data on who they're using for wars, at least for the top players. I don't know. So yeah, no, that's what I'm looking at. And so the last thing I wanted to actually take a look at. I actually want to see if I can. So the last thing I wanted to take a look at, and I actually don't have any information on, like I don't know the bot name or anything for the next combat, but I do want to read a little bit, and because actually the so Sam Storm, who is the developer that's working on this project, on this next combat, he actually messaged us about 24 days ago and says this is the concept that we're thinking about for the next combat, which was great because I'm looking at it like, hey, at least they got the idea. They're letting the gears turn in our head and play test a little bit well in advance of the actual bot. So this is what's in development. And so he says that the class is going to be companion, and he says it's going to have a this combat's going to have like a melee attack. That I don't have the name for this bot or anything yet. And then they gave us a brief description of what to expect for the 5-star version of this combat. So they're saying the 5-star is going to have approximately a little over 15k health and a little over 320 DPS. So when I look at that, my first comparison, I started thinking of a defensive type bot. And so my first thought was, well, let me go look at Groundhog stats. So Groundhog, this is what he's got. And I was actually I just moved where to let me go back to, yeah, this thing keeps messing with me. So I was saying, okay, well, Groundhog had a little bit more health, a little bit less DPS. So I was wondering, I say, well, could this be something that would be suitable for defense? But this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to every 20 seconds give this thing an inspiring shout to all the bots in range of the equipped bot, and all of those bots would get a 25% damage increase. So it's going to be like a damage increase in type combat. And so every 20 seconds, it's going to do that for 10 seconds. Then the after death effect was going to be that this combat's going to choose a nearby ally, and it's going to join that bot, and it's going to give them 100% DPS. So the percentages are probably going to change, but it's going to give a DPS boost to a nearby ally upon that combat's death, and it's also going to give that bot a 30% shield is what they're looking at. So it sounds good. I do want to know what it's going to look like on defense. So we'll see how that goes. Oh nah, and Grim asked, was I getting paid for those advertisements? No, so that's actually always happens on BlueStacks. But like I've been having some really weird glitch on my OBS software. I think that there's a new update that I didn't get to do today because I already had my stream set up and everything. But maybe that'll fix it because the last 2 weeks it's been doing this weird thing where it won't let me click on anything once I open it up on my second screen. So I don't know what's going on with that. I'm gonna try to figure it out though. But now I don't get paid for those ads and anything like that. I actually might just have to go crop my screen out because it's got ads up there every time I zoom out. Volcanicus number one says, is Space Ape doing weapons? Um, I don't have any info on that honestly, but yeah, I don't know when they're gonna do another weapon again. I mean, they still got some combats out there that they're gonna work. So they this go around they're doing a combat, and we'll see what happens. But all right, guys, I am going to go ahead and call it a day. I will see you guys. I still plan on streaming this Wednesday, so I will see you guys on Wednesday, and I will also see you on the battlefield. Freezius out.